welcome here inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. This is Dan Tortora, and I am here with
John Newman.
and John here with me from Sports Card Nation podcast. But John and I will discuss with you that this is something that we did many times here in this room. So happy to be here with you this morning inside these Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Sales and service, they are open Monday through Saturday. And of course, you can go to greatlakeshondacity.com for a sneak peek of all they have to offer on the lot today. With that being said, we thank you for being with us up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So Newman and I have been doing this. We did this many, many times. We did this over a long period here inside of this studio room, and it's been a minute, John.
Yeah, 2017. I think we did some in 2018. And you mentioned Sports Card Nation podcast. I've told you this. I've said it on the podcast itself. That podcast doesn't exist without you and me doing this with you here. That was what led into that. When my hours changed at work and I couldn't do, the Dan Tortora show and coming on Friday mornings. But it proved to me I could do it, which led to me to doing Sports Card Nation podcast, which isn't live. Every once in a while there might be a live version of it, but generally it's recorded. But this is what started it all. So I know I've told you, in person, but
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Well, I mean, to me, that it's you. You're the one that put the work in. You're the one that created Sports Card Nation podcast and created everything that you're doing. And I see it, and I see a lot of awesome graphics that you've done, guests that you've had, places that you've been, and I just feel like it's amazing for me to see all the work that's gone into it and all the success that you've had with it, and I think you should be really proud of yourself.
Well, I appreciate that, especially coming from you. But again, if it wasn't for our hour that we did on Friday mornings, if that doesn't happen, I don't think I'm pretty safe bet to say Sports Card Nation podcast probably doesn't exist today. So, you know what I mean? I'm a credit where credit's due guy. So
I appreciate it, and I mean, to me, being in this room, trying to find the right people, and I told you this, and I told your son Jordan this, it's so hard to find people that you can trust and people that you actually, share your space with, that you can feel safe with, and feel like consistently you can count on those people. And you and Jordan have done so much over the years, and like I told you, and Jordan, if you're watching or you watch this back, everything in the studio and people that watch and listen can say this and vouch for this. There's nothing in the studio that doesn't have specific meaning, and there's a reason why I put things in here. There's 2 jerseys on the wall, and there's a jersey that sits right behind me. And so this Pop Warner number 11 jersey, if you take a close look at it, is signed by Jordan Newman, John's son, who played quarterback at Bishop Grimes, and it says Bishop Grimes all-time passer, and it's got his number there from Bishop Grimes as well that he wrote in. So
that won't fit him anymore. I'm safe to say. And it's funny that since the last time I've been in studio, I'm looking at the screen. There's a few more gray hairs, and I'm wearing glasses now. So you look the same, not so much here.
Oh, I'll tell you, there's more gray in the beard. There's that white gray in the beard. It's definitely there, John. But I mean, we did so much together here in the studio, and had so much fun over the years. So it's definitely nostalgic. It's good to be back doing this together, and it's something that you and I had talked about, and you brought it up, and said, let's do something, let's get together, let's make sure that we do something to bring it all back. And so I'm happy that, we got to do this and we have this time to share with each other because, it does bring me back to those moments where we were just, you were helping me out. Jordan was helping me out to build something. So as much as you give me credit for what you've done, which I don't know if I deserve that, I give credit back to you and Jordan for being, here with me on a weekly basis and being able to talk about sports. And still to this day, outside of Brendan Murphy, you know who you are, Brendan, Jordan and I have had the most heated battles in college football.
Well, that happens at home too. So it's just no microphone involved.
Yeah, we have some of the most heated moments, and when I was right, I don't think I ever got credit. And I will say, I will say that when he was right, I'm like, all right, okay, you got it. It worked out. Okay, this year this team isn't playing that good, so give credit where credit's due, but. Jordan, I remember, like, I would give him all these statistics, and he would go, "It's still not. It's still not."
He's stubborn. He's stubborn. It's not just sports. It's everything. So, whether it could be food, it could be politics, it could be a commercial on TV. He likes to debate. I joke with him, Dan, and tell him you should have, been on a debate team, whether it be high school or when you're at St. John's Fisher, because he loves to. He almost sort of like thrives in taking the opposite stance.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think he does it even when he doesn't really believe it. He just does it for the sake of doing it.
Yeah. It's like to me. So when we got into some of those conversations, Jordan and I was like, we should save this baby on the train tracks, and he's like, let the baby go.
That's what I mean. It's one of those deals. So you never. There's sometimes I even don't even get into it with him because I'm like I don't have time for this today, and when depending on the topic, I'm like. I don't feel that strongly about this to waste that much time on it.
Well, I will say this: when you go that back and forth, I was talking with the Syracuse football team, and they said, I said, who's the biggest trash talker on the team? And a bunch of the guys said that it is definitely Devin Grant, defensive back, who wears number 23. And then I have been at practice enough to be around Fran Brown, and I said, I think Fran is a pretty good trash talker myself. So I asked recently here Davian Kerr, who's been a return specialist and a DB for Syracuse, and his brother, his identical twin Davion Kerr, also on the team, also a DB. And I said to him, I was like, okay, so between Fran and Devin, who's the guy? And he said, oh, it's still Devin. He said, Fran will go back and forth with they'll talk or whatever. And he said, and then Fran will just look at him and be like, all right, Dev, that's enough. So you're the Fran Brown to Jordan, who is your home Devin Grant.
Yeah, and he's probably I don't know Devin Grant. I venture a safe guess he might be worse than Devin Grant or better, depending on which stance you take. So,
but it's definitely, like I said, it's cool to go back and to have this time capsule thing that we're doing here today, to be able to talk with each other and have some fun with this and to do this show together. And we do have...
And you're going to come on Sports Card Nation podcast. We're doing a home and home, which is, I've talked about you on the podcast about why the podcast exists, as I explained this morning. Yeah. And I thought, man, why talk about you and just have you come on and we can talk about that amongst other things as well. So kind of put... voice and face to a name that I've spoke about on the show when giving that credit. So it's probably long overdue, quite frankly.
Well, yeah, no, and I definitely, I'm happy that we got to do this today, and I look forward to doing that when it comes up for sure, and have the opportunity to bring it all together. We are going to do our segments together as we always do on a Friday. John is going to join me today inside of MonPausPopcorn.com's What's Poppin' list of topics for the day. The annoying moment of the week, you all know, starts off Friday's show. I thank you. I do want to say this. Thank you for being with us early this morning as Syracuse switched their practice time, and I can't announce that because it is not made to the public. but Syracuse's practice time was this afternoon. It has shifted to this morning, and with that shifting, this is the final practice that the media can be at before the opening of the 2025 season, which is next week in Georgia. So I will be heading to practice, which is why we're going early. So thank you for being with us a little bit earlier today. The annoying moment of the week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt, is where we will start. We'll jump to lead, learn, evolve, ad-lib, and deliver, brought to you by Chick-fil-A Cicero, and we'll both give a top dog of the week, honoring a person, an organization, a team, whatever we want, for the top dog of the week, presented by K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare, and obviously talk about sports and life inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios throughout. So, with that being said, I will defer to John first here to give his annoying moment of the week. What is your annoying moment of the week?
All right, this one's easy. I went to Boston, as you know. I just got back yesterday for the first time. Never been there.
Yeah.
I went to Fenway Park, obviously, for the first time on Monday night for the Red Sox-Orioles game. I'm a Mets fan, so didn't really have a rooting interest either way. Just enjoyed going to a baseball game and seeing Fenway for the first time. Great stadium, lived up to all the billing coming in. But the annoying moment of the week for me, and my wife Sharon, who was with me, would agree because it was obvious. People just getting up constantly. So the seats are pretty tight. So if someone has to get out through your where you're sitting, you have to get up every time.
Yeah, are they the foldables? The thin foldable? Yeah.
So it just seemed like every minute and a half someone else was getting up. And then you have your frequent flyers, right? One guy it seemed like every inning he was getting up for something, another beverage, bathroom run, food item. And it was like, are you here? You know, I remember thinking the little voice in my head, like, are you here to watch a game or like just do everything else but?
Yeah, it's like it's like he's at home, going into the kitchen, going to the bathroom.
So yeah, and it was still a great time. I'm not, you know what I mean? I still had a great time, but it was just, got to get up again. It was, it was like calisthenics, up, down, up, down.
Do you feel like you got a workout in?
I did. Like I had to. I probably should have looked at my app there and seen how many heart rate and and all that stuff. So the game was great. The stadium itself was great. But man, I don't know if it was just my row. I don't think so, because even looking down, it was just a lot of people moving about. So it seemed more than, and I attend quite a bit of sporting events.
Yeah.
It seemed more than your average. I don't know if it's a Boston thing or just whatever the case may be, but that was kind of annoying,
Well, that is definitely a fair one. I could definitely say my thing when you mention that, I think about the movies and I think about the people that don't stop speaking during a movie and just having a conversation, being on their phone. One guy was full on sleeping at a movie I've been to recently, and he was next to his wife and she refused to wake him up. And it was during Mission Impossible, and that movie was so loud. And so I'm like, okay, when it gets loud and when the music starts playing, I won't hear him. He snored so loud. So you'd be in the movie and you'd be listening to Tom Cruise, and Tom would be like, hey, we have to diffuse this. and then they finally got up. He got up and they left. They just left. I don't know if they asked for their money back or what it was. There was a girl next to me talking to her friend, texting on her phone. She had no desire to be at the movie. But that had been an annoying moment of the past. I just wanted to bring it up because it still is ridiculous. My annoying moment of the week is something that goes off of what I've said in these last few weeks. If you are in central and upstate New York, 81, 690, 481, all under construction. The street I grew up on has been under construction for weeks. On top of that, we have had bridge constructions. We have had under the bridge constructions. We have had road pavements. I have no idea why and who did this to us, why we are in a situation where they thought every major highway should be worked on simultaneously, and then do side streets, and then do other roads. And then last night, in their continued amazement of lack of IQ, they decided to shut down part of John Glenn Boulevard and Route 57 to one lane so they could pave that road last night. So you get off the highway, you go, so you're on the highway, you're dealing with traffic, you get through that, you're dealing with fair traffic, you get through that, you get off the highway, and here you are on Route 57, who decided that amidst all of the chaos, plus the fair, let's pave the road today.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, Dan, because I was, a couple of weeks ago, I was thinking that, like, you're doing all these big highway at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, some of these, they should do some of this at night. I don't know if you remember when Howard Stern joked about running for governor of New York. One of his platforms was all like road construction would be at night, and I probably would have voted for him just on that alone, no matter what else he said. But they do in some cities and states, they do stuff at night. They get those high powered LEDs and they work at night. And I think, like you said, if you're going to do that many main thoroughfares at the same time, at least do maybe 60% of them at night and then the other during the day, so they're not all concurrent. But yeah, it's crazy. Then you, like you said, you factor in the fair. Then they're doing some of the offshoots, and it's like you can't drive 2 minutes without running into some. And what bugs me is sometimes when you're going through these and you see, and I don't mean this is probably harsh as it's gonna sound, but everyone's standing around. So you're like,
there was one guy
you're slowing the traffic down. You've made it one lane instead of 2 or 3, and then I have to just watch guys kind of looking at each other like,
Did that on the highway down to Scranton one time. My dad and I are driving, and there's all these cones down, and they bring us all from like 3 lanes to 2 or 1. I think it got down to 1. We get to the end of it all. There's 2 guys sitting on the guardrail talking to each other.
Yep.
No equipment, nothing there, no one working. And yesterday, as you go on 57, there was one guy. There was like trucks down here, but this whole length of road where everything was backed up, there was one guy, and he had this tool, and this is all he was doing. He was going.
I want that job.
I was like, I want to know how much this guy's getting paid.
You gotta know somebody to get that gig.
And it was a tool, and it was like it made a cross, and I was like, I don't know if it was like make sure that like each part of the pavement, but I'm like, does he have to go up and down this, like all the technology that we have? He's got to come up and do this. There was a guy when they were doing the highway by the fair, and they're doing 690 over there. As you're coming around the bend, there was I'm kid you not, this guy was walking behind a robot, and the robot was putting the lines down that people normally put down.
He's the robot supervisor.
Yeah. So the robot. So the guy I saw yesterday doing this, the robot was going. He was like walking forward, and it's like, and it's just like spit down the line, and there was a guy behind him going, like, are you good? You okay? But the good thing about the robot, he doesn't need any water. He doesn't need a break. But it's going line by line. And this guy is legitimately in the center of the highway walking behind the robot.
I got to get that gig too. I'll take either one. I won't even, beggars can't be choosers. Just whatever one's available. Here's my resume.
$60 an hour to be the robot's
now,
liaison.
with the guy doing this thing, in his defense, like he's got an easy gig apparently, but like 10 years from now, he'll have to have carpal tunnel surgery. Well, so there is some collateral damage from an easy gig.
It was crazy, and I was like, I don't know what happened. Like when I was on this road earlier today, everything was okay, and then I came home, and all of a sudden there's these signs up that say road work starts 8:21. I'm like, when you don't put those signs up, on 8/21. Like,
Yeah.
hey guys, just to let you know, you put it up like a month in advance.
There's so much of it. I used to question, like, is it real or someone just prank? Like, hey, let's just set up shop
I think they're
here.
trying to see how many of us they can drive insane.
Yeah, well, they're doing a good job. There's two right here. But, speaking of Boston, I was there again for about a week. And they're doing it there too. But it's funny driving into it. I'm like, let's see if they're like in New York, if they're all sitting around. I will give them credit, at least on the moment I was driving through it, they're actually working, like the whole bunch of them. So I'm like, they ought to, New York ought to take a page from Massachusetts here and be active when you're driving through a construction zone.
Or Florida. Florida has a highway. And when it gets too busy, they build more highway. And they either expand the highway out or they build above it. And if you have been to Orlando International Airport, MCO, within the last few years, I've been going down because it's the second home of my show and my second home personally. Here's the highway. Or actually, you used to come in. This is how you used to get to the airport. You get off the highway, go to Boggy Creek Road, take a left, and it was one lane, and then you get on that and then go in to the airport. Now they've built a highway, and then they built another highway. They just keep getting closer to God. Then they build another highway. But where Florida is building more lanes and building above their highways more highways, we decided in the infinite wisdom of the state of New York to rip our highway apart and get rid of it in the city. So you have Florida that has figured out, and they build it so fast, and they're there in the middle of the night, like you said, LEDs and all this stuff. Florida builds so quickly, and they build these massive structures, and we can't figure out how to fix a bridge and keep the highway. We thought we could fix the bridge, keep the highway, or we could just rip the highway apart, get rid of it, and make everybody go around in a circle and drive themselves insane. So instead of driving through the city to go to Binghamton, now you're going to have to like adjust yourself because they want you to go down into the city so that you can be in places you don't want to be. I cannot imagine the traffic that will exist when the traffic that already exists to go to a game at the Dome. And once you take that highway out, because you have the road under I don't know what the plan is, but I keep thinking to myself, Florida builds more. We decided to take the only thing that we had.
And take a longer time doing it, like you said. Like some of these other places it's like, it seems like a couple weeks and they're done.
Yeah, they said where's going to be 2028.
Yeah.
If Florida starts construction today, a highway will be built by Thursday. So it's crazy.
And Syracuse is going to be years. So
yeah,
yeah, it is crazy and kind of depressing to think about, like how long you're going to have to deal with it for. And there's really no simple answer to it. Like you said, to avoid it, you're going to have to, take the long way around, so to speak.
But now that long way has construction.
Yeah. It doesn't. You drive 2 miles and you don't hit construction. You probably consider yourself fortunate because you're going to hit it at some point.
So I guess what we're essentially trying to say is this is a time to thank Kathy Hochul for tearing apart our city for no reason.
I'll let you say thank you to her. I don't have many thank yous for Kathy Hochul.
I don't think that she's ever been here. And I think she did go to school here, but apparently maybe she had a bad experience. I don't know why she's angry. But I have said publicly in multiple places that I will happily run against her. And I will run against her with maybe even simply one platform. I'm not going to rip apart and destroy Syracuse for no apparent reason. So,
and I can be lieutenant governor.
That's right.
There's the ticket. I think we just announced our candidacy.
Why not? Well, that's how she got the job. Yeah. She was lieutenant. So,
and someone else had an issue.
And someone else had a lot of problems. So, and I want to thank him too for getting rid of styrofoam cups, plastic bags, and apparently that was his contribution to society. So it's definitely, so yeah, John and I will happily save Syracuse. I can't wait to go out there and go, whatever you've built up to this point, great. We're going to fix all this, and we're either going to get it done faster or we're going to change the plan. But the people that were like anti 81, I never understood that group. Like you see things on Facebook and they're like, tear down 81. You don't know why you're defending 81 and you shouldn't defend it. And I'm like, this road has rights.
Well, they got to figure, obviously we need roads. I know we're joking around. We need roads to get to where we got to go and enjoy the things, whether it's work or play. But like you said, I think there's better and more strategic ways to get those things done.
Yeah.
And probably in a timelier fashion as well. Where it seems like in New York we talk about years for things, and in other places it's weeks or months, and that's an issue. That's a show in itself right there. So.
Yeah. So we definitely can do better with roads, because now where it takes me 20 minutes, I give myself 40 to 45. With construction on new roads now, I'm thinking, do I have to give myself an hour to go from like a Baldwinsville to the Dome?
Crazy. Yeah. We need, you know what we need? We need the flying cars like in Back to the Future. The DeLorean.
Why hasn't that happened yet?
Yeah, they're supposed to.
I want my hoverboard. I'm still asking for that. I told my parents from when I was 10 years old to now, every Christmas in the back of my head, I'm asking Santa for a hoverboard.
I just want to say the line that Christopher Lloyd says in where we're going, we don't need roads.
I love that. And they're all getting off the exit and they're flying all toward each other and all this stuff. Still, and I remember the shark that comes down. He thinks it's going to bite him. But the hoverboard, absolutely, which I know does not work on water, but everywhere else it does. Looking for that hoverboard to come to a store near us. And when it comes to that store near us, it'll take us a while to get there because the roads will be under construction. We'll take a step aside for a fast break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. If you've learned anything this morning, we have history. Syracuse has problems with roads. And John would like you to stop getting up. Pick what you need and sit down with it. Like, you got a hot dog. This is what you do. You come to the game, get there a little bit earlier, make a decision, get yourself a hot dog, get a drink, get something that maybe isn't hot that you can save for later. Like, bring a snack. Be like me. Be like the drug dealer of snacks, where I got Pop-Tarts in here. I got a Nutri-Grain bar.
Yeah. In a trench coat. Like, what do you need? I get snacks right up and down.
That's right. It's funny because Robin Williams said years ago, he said it's going to get bad like this, where someone's going to come up to you on the street and go, "Psst, I got water." And he's like, "And if you want it cold, I got ice too, mother." And then he says so. And the funny thing is, we do pay for water, folks. So Robin was not lying about a lot of things to us. But yes, to the gentleman that went to the Boston Red Sox game, if that is your season ticket spot, John isn't the only one that thinks you should stop getting up every 2 innings to go find
I'll tell you the truth. Even every 3-4 innings, I'm okay. This particular person seemed like every inning it was just like clockwork. And he wasn't the only one. I don't want to make it just to be one guy. It was a good handful of people. And how about this? You ever sitting down, and so there's 5 people that way and 10 people that way, and they go the 10 people direction.
Yeah.
Instead of going to, like, I only have to make 5 people get up for me. Yeah. I'm going to go to 10. It's like, are you doing that on purpose? Like, just to inconvenience 10 people rather than just head scratching.
You're living in their world.
Yeah.
I feel like this guy was like, okay, he's like, all right, excuse me, John, excuse me. Sits down, and he's like, I got my hot dog. Okay, I need my mustard. Excuse me. I need my ketchup. Excuse me. So I feel like it was individual. The way you're describing it, I feel like this gentleman was just forgetting things continuously.
It was uncanny, I will say that. And the section I was sitting in, the seats were not real comfortable. And I think I'm not even being funny when I say, I believe they were original from the build. Like, they were old, wooden, rickety. Yeah. And if they weren't the original seats, they haven't been replaced in 30 or 40 years. So a couple rows in front of me were the newer, like, plastic seats. These were wooden. The paint was mostly gone off of them. I even wonder if Babe Ruth had in them. Did Babe Ruth sit like somewhere around here at one point or another? So.
Yeah, Phil said this is an old grumpy conversation.
I know Phil, he knows me. But no, it's true. Everything, like, we're probably embellishing it a little bit.
I don't think,
but it is true.
I think if anything, we're underbellishing.
Maybe
So.
it was even even Sharon was like, man, these people get up a lot, like.
Yeah.
And they had people going around, like the vendors,
Yeah.
like selling stuff where they come right to where you're sitting. Yeah, people were still getting.
It's like, we have cotton candy here. Anybody want some cotton candy?
Cotton candy.
No, we're good. Then 2 minutes later, he goes, "Excuse me, I gotta get some cotton candy."
And they came around with everything, whether it was hot dogs, alcohol, soda. I saw a lemonade guy.
You should have came around with a taser.
Yeah.
So when people get up, you could just give a,
I might have bought one if it was legal.
You know what we should do? They should have that we can buy an invisible fence. And when you turn it on, it'll be like around you. So if somebody gets close to you that you don't want to, it zaps them. Yeah. And then they just have to bounce back a little bit here. That would be interesting. So with that being said, hoverboards, personal, invisible fences. We'll be back right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver. The Annoying Moment of the Week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt. And I want to thank Carvel DeWitt for being our longest partner here and the longest standing Carvel franchise in the continental United States. Shout out to Jay Cartini and the team. Make sure you head over there today and let them know that DT sent you. We'll be back inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios right after this.
Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McInerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Bryan and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Bryan and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Bryan's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Life gets busy, and sometimes that means us running around. So K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare offers you an opportunity to give your dog a place to stay while you take care of what you need to throughout the day. K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare is located on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, New York. You can see it from the highway, and it's just off of Erie Boulevard across from BJ's Wholesale Club. Call 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110 to schedule an appointment to bring your dog in and tour the facility. Appointments are Monday through Thursday after 6:30, where you and your dog can see everything that K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare has to offer, including a self-serve dog wash and a retail store filled with all of your dog's wants and needs, including food, treats, harnesses, leashes, and more, making K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare your one-stop shop for your furry loving friend. Right, Lily? Avicoli's restaurant, located on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, has been serving our community for decades. Your place to go for home cooking on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road is just minutes from Liverpool High School. And every single month, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is on site, on location, with Liverpool sports, student athletes, coaches, and administration telling their stories throughout the year. We look forward to seeing you on site at Avicoli's for their casual pizza side, their fine dining, as well as their bar. And of course, you can order online at myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. For takeout, delivery, and catering, call 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100. Come on in to the neighborhood spot Avicoli's, open 7 days a week in Liverpool, New York. K-9 Campground Dog Boarding is your home away from home for your furry-loving friends. Open 7 days a week with drop-off and pickup times in the morning and later on in the day and early evening. K-9 Campground Dog Boarding is the spot to trust with your dog for short and long-term stays. Call 315-299-4013 for more information. That's 315-299-4013, and go to k9campground.com as well. That's KAMP ground.com, where you will find all of the information on their different cabins, which include the classic cabin, executive cabin, grand cabin, and luxury cabin. K9 Campground Dog Boarding, where your dog will have indoor and outdoor areas as well as their own private cabin for any size, any breed, as well as dogs with different needs. Dog parents and dogs alike choose K9 Campground Dog Boarding. Isn't that right, Lily? Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here with us, and I want to give a special thanks to Chick-fil-A in DeWitt on the corner of Bridge and Erie. It is the newest Chick-fil-A in Central and Upstate New York, and of course, Chick-fil-A here with us just had their 2-week anniversary on the corner of Bridge and Erie, and they are by multiple universities, colleges, and high schools employing those students to be a part of Chick-fil-A, a part of this family, and a part of something that's so much bigger than a chicken sandwich. I want to thank Megan Sorber and her entire team for coming to us on that beautiful brick building that you cannot miss. I call it the Taj Mahal of Chick-fil-A, and you'll find it there in Chick-fil-A DeWitt. We look forward to seeing you over there today and appreciate everyone that's been a part of these first 2 weeks of Chick-fil-A opening in DeWitt. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, Mr. Newman here is with me, Sports Card Nation podcast, and John Newman and I have been in this room many times over many years, and happy to be back here together again inside of the Great Lakes Honda City studios. It was a long time coming, and this next piece here for Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver, proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero, has to do with us finding ourselves back together again, and the topic today, when it comes back around. John, what does that topic mean to you?
To me, it's kind of like the karma thing, right? Like you get what you give. If you're a bad person, I think bad things will happen to you. And I think if you're a good person, and hopefully you are, I think good things will come to you. Now, sometimes it doesn't always work out exactly like that, but I think generally speaking, like you get back, what you give. So I'm a karma guy, believe in that stuff. So people would argue that it's not a real thing, but I believe in karma. I think what you put out in the world comes back around to you, whatever that might be, negative, positive, bad, good, uh, that sort of thing. So,
Yeah, when it comes back around, I mean, I definitely can echo the sentiments of what you're saying. I do believe that whether you call it karma or you call it God's way of kind of righting the ship type of thing, but I do believe that things do come back around. I've lived it. I've seen it. You know, if you are a good person, then I do believe that good comes to you. And if you're doing things in not such a great way, I do think there's that reminder from God that He is and you're not. So, some people call it karma. Some people say that it's God working in His ways. But I think whatever you call it, I believe that it comes from God. It comes from a place that knows right and wrong. And when things come back around, I mean, they always say don't spit into the wind, right? So when you're going through life, I think it's really important and vital to understand that how you treat people on a small scale or on a large scale really does have a lot to do with how that person is affected and how you're ultimately affected down the road. You might not think it's important to say thank you if somebody holds a door for you, or to let somebody in when there's all this construction and people are trying to get somewhere. But the little things that you do, not knowing what someone's going through, are so important, and they don't know what you're going through either. And I find that, I mean, there's things that I remember about bosses that I had, like the first program director I ever had at ESPN Radio. Still take his advice to this day, and love the fact that he loved me constructively. Like, he was trying to help me be better. He wasn't coddling me, but he was also very good to me. And then I have the other bosses and the other experiences that I'll never forget when I took a stand against things and things that weren't right. Things that I told the story this week on the show, but there was a broadcaster that was working at the same station as me and basically told me that covering Oswego, OCC, and Lemoyne was cute. And when are you going to get to the times and understand that, we only cover Syracuse University? And obviously, I love to cover Syracuse University, but they were saying, like, hey, be like everybody else. Stop covering all this other stuff. There's only one ship in town. And I got up that day in defense of all of the other places and any place that would to be. And I said, you want the chair pushed in or out? And I walked out. I was like, number one, you're not my boss. Number two, no one will ever tell me what to say on my show unless it's God. And number three, if I don't cover them, who will? So, and then I look at when it all comes back around and my connection to those schools now and everything that I've gotten to do with these places and things that I'm really proud of, relationships built, and just getting to hear the stories of kids whose stories were never being told, would never have been told, coaches who I don't even think had their programs get interviewed one time or very sparingly. So to be a part of shining a light and letting everybody know that they matter, I had to take a stand. And I truly believe that that's all come back around and continues to. So how you treat people does have a definite positive or not so great reaction. And the ripple effect that you leave in this world matters, I would say.
yeah, and speaking of that too, it's easy for someone else to critique you, right, or why you're doing this or that, but you can't coach somebody's passion. That was your passion. That was something you can't. While it might not be that person's forte or passion, you can't tell someone else what their passion is or isn't. And that's where you got to be careful, and it sort of crosses a line. I mean, if anything, ask you like, hey, how come you're covering this or covering that, or why do you talk about? But to say, hey, don't do that and just, only cover this program. While it is the big fish in the pond, there are other fish in the pond too. It's not the only fish in the pond. So,
Yeah.
I think it's easy to do that. I think it's harder to ask someone, hey, how come, what do you enjoy about that? And get your perspective on it rather than
Yeah.
just painting with a broad brush and saying, no one should be doing that. Like, who are you to make that determination, so.
Well, to me, it's, there's people with a God complex, and then there's people that want to mirror what God does. And, they say that God left 99 sheep to go find the one that was missing. And to me, I'm happy to leave whatever is there to go find the ones that aren't getting that publicity, aren't getting that love. I know what it's like to be the redheaded stepchild, and I think John and I can both speak to that. So,
And you're still covering Syracuse.
yeah,
It's not, going back to what you said, it's not like you're not doing
no,
that.
heavily covering Syracuse.
So you're doing what other people are doing and then adding extra
All the other
value
stuff, yeah.
to that. So, like, it's not like you're doing one without doing the other. You're doing what they're doing plus. And so to be critiqued by someone who says something like that, I think, like you said, I think that might be, when people are unhappy with their own, sometimes it's easier, rather than self-inflict, it's just easier to take a shot at someone else to make themselves feel better, at least in the moment. Maybe it wears off, but
Yeah.
for the quick moment, they probably feel better about themselves taking a shot at somebody else. But to each their own, as they say.
Yeah, they say that how people treat you says everything about them and nothing about you. And there's a lot of truth to that. I love, and I look back at my time at Syracuse, they were not credentialing internet companies. They were not credentialing companies that hadn't been around. So I tried and I tried, and then I was told from Syracuse, listen, we're essentially going to make you the test. Like, you're the guinea pig. You're the first self-created, self-sustaining, non-pre-existing internet company that we are going to credential. We're going to see how this goes, and then, we'll make a decision on you. So when people go into Syracuse football and basketball now that are from the internet, have a blog or have whatever, like, just know that what I was trying to get in, it was not easy. And
You're the Jackie Robinson of local pro. Is what you. I said it.
I think he hits the ball better than I do. So, but no, I mean, it was. They're like, we're making an example out of you. Like, I had to send in information. I had to constantly let them know, like, this is what we're doing and this and that.
Do you feel like you were being watched more closely than
Yeah,
others?
100%. I feel like I was treated with. It was like, you can't even think about stepping off the path in any way, shape, or like, you have to follow da da da. Like, I felt like there was we're watching you, and then other people, they had the right name, they worked at the right place, they knew the right person, so they could just coast, essentially, if they wanted to, or it feels that way. Not that they did, but it just kind of felt like they were covered. Not coast, but like, it seemed like, we like these people, you're good. And then with me, it was like, you better prove yourself, and now I look back, and that was 13 or 14 years ago, and I still feel like the people that they take care of don't necessarily do the work, and I know that they've stolen work. And then there's people like me that still feel like I've been here for so long, but I feel like I have to follow rules that other people don't have to follow.
Do you think I'm turning into the interviewer here,
Yeah.
but that's okay. Like 13, like you mentioned, 13 to 14 years in. Do you feel like you've made strides? Or do you still feel like there's them and then you? Or do you feel like that gap's kind of closed?
Well, if I felt like other people in the media did it better than me, I wouldn't do it, because I don't have the mentality that anybody's better than me or I'm better than anybody else. I would also say, if they're doing so well, then how come I find their work? How come I find my work on their stations?
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times people have stolen from me. And to stand next to someone who does not say hello to you, acts like you're a ghost, you're not in their club, they don't value you, they don't consider you even a person in the room, and then you leave the room that you were both standing in and you find your quotes and your videos on their outlet, you think, well, which is it? Either I don't exist and you can't use the information, or put my name on the stuff that you're using.
Yeah, and this happens even in the hobby, Dan. And I've used other people's stuff, but I always give credit when I've done that. Like, hey, this is being reported by so and so.
I watermark.
I got this
photos.
from their website, or
Yep.
from I listened to this episode and they said this. So like, it's easy to take something and not give credit where credit's due. I think it says
Especially
more,
now.
and I think it says more about you if you do that than if you, say, hey, I got this from so and so. Want to give proper accreditation here, and but that happens. I'm sure it's not just like I mentioned. It happens in the hobby media. I'm sure it happens in other all niches.
Well, yeah, and I think and when you love something, you go after it, and when you care about something, you do it. And for me, it's funny because people compete with each other, and I think that's such a small-minded, like kind of T-Rex brain, right? Is that I'm gonna focus on my competition and I'm gonna eat it, I'm gonna devour it, where I want to kick my own ass. I'm Jim Carrey in Liar Liar. Like, I want to beat Dan from yesterday.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because, I do a Q&A on my Hobby Quick Hits version of my podcast. And one of the questions I got once was like, are you, basically I'm paraphrasing the question. It was a little bit longer than this, but are you competing against other hobby podcasters? And when I first started the podcast in 2018, there was a lot less hobby podcasts. So you can measure yourself probably maybe a little bit easier than you can now, where the pool is full and over full.
When I started podcasting, people didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
So
and
it was crazy.
So I answer that question like this, Dan. I'm like, there's too many shows even to know, like you summed it up very well. Like, I'm just trying to be better today than I was yesterday, and tomorrow I want to be better tomorrow than I am today. Doesn't always work out that way, but at least that's what you strive to do. And I think that's when you approach it like that, I think it's more obtainable than, oh my God, I got to beat 40 other podcasts. And much of those are great people doing great work. So, you know what I mean? Like, so I look at it like a fraternity. We're all in this kind of together. We could help each other out rather than be like at the end of like Anchorman, where everyone's trying to kill each other. And that sort of thing. So,
but the funny thing is the end of Anchorman is more of what it feels like than what it actually is. And I definitely, to me, everybody eats, and even the people that lie, cheat, and steal and have disrespected me, I still pray for those people. I pray that they eat. I pray that they're doing well. I pray they're healthy. I pray that they're safe. I pray that they attain all their dreams and a million times more. I pray that God over blesses them to the point where they can't thank God enough. So I don't ever wish bad on anybody. I just am, I guess I'm less and less baffled as time goes by because I've experienced so much, but I want to choose not to focus on what people are doing to hurt other people, what people are doing toward me or toward somebody else, but to shift my energy to, okay, this is what's happening. I can't change that. What can I do to help somebody else come along? And the people that have interned here, to Zach and to JT and Amani, I want to make a difference in their life in a positive way. I want to give them something that maybe I didn't get. I want to show them something maybe I didn't see. I want to show them something working with me that I may like sit with them and then go to this event that I've gone to for a million years, and these people are always disrespectful and rude, and there's a different set of rules for people, and there's all these double standards, and I got to go there in an hour. But for this hour prior to, I'm going to show Amani that it doesn't have to be that way, so that maybe someday when she's leading a room, she makes sure that that room is carried better. So it may not change for me, but maybe it could change for her. And I mean, when we celebrated 21 years of broadcasting, and I asked a few people to speak, I mean, Amani spoke, and she made me cry. And, you know, I mean, I've spent a lot of my life thinking about, why do people hurt me? Why do people hurt other people? Why would people say this or do this? And then Amani comes up and she's talking, and I'm thinking about the kid that came into my studio, and she said, I want to be a broadcaster. I said, all right, well, that's what we're going to do. You don't get my coffee and do my laundry here. You're going to be my intern. We're actually going to do stuff.
I still would have probably worked that in there as part.
I did not. But so she was here in this room, and she was sitting here. It was turned this way, and we were talking, and I said, all right, you want experience, I'm going to put you on the air. And I turned the mic on, and she sat. I said, what's going on? And she was just quiet. I said, you were talking, you were fine. And she was so nervous. I said, it's just you and me. She's like, no, somebody can hear me. What if I sound this way? What if I do that? I don't want anybody to hear it. I'm nervous. I said, but it's just us. She's like, yeah, but somebody will hear it. I said, we could pre-record it. It doesn't matter. Someone's going to know it. Someone's going to see it. And then one day we came in and we were talking. We were standing outside the studio. And her and I were talking about relationship stuff, and how a guy looks at something, how a girl looks at something, and how she saw it, how I see it, the same thing, but we heard it differently. And I said, we had this like big conversation. It was so good. And I said, why don't we put this on the air? I said, you want to do it? She goes, all right. We walk into the studio. I don't say anything. I turn the mic on, and she just goes. And she was so comfortable because it was about something she wanted to talk about, and it was so important to her and meaningful to her that she forgot about the mic. And then it turned into a show, Free Talks, that Dan Tortora Broadcast Media brought you. And then she went to college, and then she got behind a desk, and then she got after it. And I said to myself, the one thing that I need to make sure that I accomplish is that this extremely talented, wonderful, God-loving woman, who is such a kind person with so many talents and things to give this world, I need to get her to feel comfortable and unafraid to share them. And even if she is afraid, to get on the mic anyway. And when she left being an intern, she wasn't afraid of the microphone. And to see the woman she is today, I am incredibly proud and happy. So you can focus your energy on the knuckleheads that treat you with disrespect, or you can focus your energy on trying to help somebody and not being a knucklehead yourself. And if there's an Amani free that I could do anything to help, and it worked, then to me that's worth putting my energy in a different place.
Yeah, and I think you helped her, obviously I wasn't here, but just from you explaining that, I think you helped her find, I don't want to say lane, maybe lane is helped her. Sometimes that's half the battle, right? Is knowing what direction you want to sort of go in, or how do you get comfortable behind the mic, you know what I mean? I'm comfortable talking about sports cards and sports, and we start talking about molecular science. I'm probably gonna be quiet, which is very rare for me. So I guess you gotta find what you're passionate about, what moves your meter, so to speak, and then when you get there, then you can sort of expand your knowledge base and what you can talk about. And sometimes it's just getting over that. It's almost like writer's block. And then the epiphany happens and you're writing. I think the same thing can happen, behind a microphone as well as with a pen. So I think hearing you talk about that, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Is there somebody that you feel like you tried to kind of pay it forward and help, and then you saw like the reward of just seeing them shine?
Yeah, I mean, being one of the early hobby podcasts, Dan, I got a lot of people who were at one point listeners of the show and hopefully still are. But hey, I got a private message or DM or an email. Hey, love your show. Listen, I'm thinking about doing this myself. Any tips or what equipment do I need?
Yeah.
How do you do it? Or I'm kind of a shy by nature. How do any tips?
Better than being naughty by nature.
Yeah, they're not bad. They're not bad either.
I actually like them. I just wanted to say it.
and it's a great what you said, pay it forward. Like I've always answered those inquiries and messages,
Yeah.
and gave my best advice. And like one of the things I say is, listen, I'm not an expert. Maybe I don't believe in experts. I believe in experience. You do something for 21 years. I don't know if you're an expert, but you're probably more experienced than someone who's done it 10 years. And so that's how I look at it. So I just passed on my experiences, not my expertise. It's funny when I'm on other shows, I always get sort of introduced like hobby expert, and I always kind of, if it's a on-screen thing, you can kind of see me smirk because I never refer to myself in that form.
I've never used that
yeah.
word with myself.
Yeah, so I'm more experienced than an expert. I know the words kind of are similar or sort of based on each other, but anytime like someone's inquired about maybe doing their own podcast, I've given as much help as I can and encouraged them to do it. And I've even had a couple of them reach back out and say, quite frankly, John, you weren't the only person that I asked that question to, but you were the only person to answer it. And
Yeah.
that says a lot about you. So, that tells you something right there, right? Some people don't want to help anyone else, or maybe look at them as competition. And I look at it as a fraternity, especially in the hobby side of things. We all have different views on things.
Yeah.
There's room for everybody. I've had those people on my show, and I've been on their show, and so I don't look at that stuff as adversarial. I know maybe some other people do. I don't have time to take that stance and approach, and it would become, I do podcasting because it's fun and I enjoy it and I'm passionate about it. And if I took that adversarial stance, it wouldn't be fun anymore, or less fun. I'll put it that way. And I don't want that to be the case. So I don't take that. Plus, it's not really my nature. Like if I want to be competitive, that's why I still play men's adult softball. That's why I play pickleball. But I think, when it comes to this stuff, we should be enjoying it, passionate, having fun. And I'm passionate about that other stuff too, but it brings out more of that competitive side of me than maybe a microphone would per se.
Yeah, I echo that, and I only look in the mirror and say, whatever you had yesterday, I'm gonna beat it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's.
And you gotta be like, sometimes that's not gonna happen. Like I don't know, I can't speak for you. I've done shows or podcasts where I'm like, that wasn't my greatest moment, or that wasn't my greatest episode, right?
Yeah.
And you got to be all right with like admitting, like, hey, it's just like an athlete, right? They could go 4 for 4 with 2 home runs, and the next day, go 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts, including at a crucial part of the game, and they don't win, right? So you have to take that good and the bad. Hopefully, there's more good than bad, and I think that's obviously the goal, but. You have to know that some days are not going to be your best days, and you just get back on the horse the next day and say, yesterday was yesterday, and it's over. I can learn from it, but I'm not going to dwell on it, and we're going to be better. We're going to be better today, and and hopefully that's the case. And even if it isn't, let's do it tomorrow again. Or in my case, next week. So.
Yeah, my first GM I ever had at an ESPN radio, Time Shamrock Communication, Bobby Lynett, when the Lynett family owned Time Shamrock Communications, they may still do. and Bobby was there. I remember, I didn't know if you ever listened to my show or didn't, and at the time I was on the weekend, and I was doing, I was doing one day, I think I was just doing Saturday, and I came into because I would like, I mean, I was always there. Like if you're doing one show a week, you're prepping every day of the week, and you're constantly thinking of stuff and changing this and moving this around and wanting to do this and add this in and how do I fit this and what is this going to look like or feel like or sound like. And I was going in on the weekend, but it wasn't like, I think I was coming out of my show maybe, and Bobby was going into the office. And Bobby was like, hey, and there was these double doors, and he was, like in between. He's like, hey, just want to let you know. He said, I listened to the show. He's like, I listened to your show. And I said, which one? He goes, the most recent one. He goes, man, you're doing great. He said, you're doing a great job. I love the show. And I remember walking out of there thinking, this was the worst show I've ever done in my life. Like, I thought it was the worst I have ever done. And I was like, well, if you like that one, you know what I mean? And so I could definitely speak to that, to say, like, if you like me at my worst, then come see me at my best, I guess. But I'll never forget. I was like, I don't think I had a good show at all. And Bobby liked it. And that was my boss. And I just remember thinking, like, this guy's crazy. So
it's funny you say that. So, the National is the yearly week-long, like the Super Bowl hobby.
I do want to go, by the way, but I want to prep it with you. Like, I want to talk with you about it because I consider you've had so much experience with it. No, I was gonna say guru, and I did it. But I was like, I consider you like you. It's kind of like going to New York Comic Con. I've been covering it for 7 years. This might be year 8. So like, I feel comfortable going there. And I feel comfortable trying to like help somebody who's never been and maybe let you know something I didn't know, or definitely let you know something I didn't know when I was going. So I feel like in that case for the National, kind of like New York Comic Con, it's like, all right, John, how do I tackle this?
Yeah. Well, what I was going to, and I'd be glad to help you, as you well know. But sometimes when I go there, and I've gone there, I think 6 years now, and, I'm not a celebrity, but, some people recognize me from the podcast. And sometimes they'll come up like, I love the podcast, man. And if I think they're sort of just giving me lip service, I do a test. I'll be like, oh, yeah, what's your favorite episode? And I can always tell, and I don't, this is going to sound
number 325.
Yeah, well, sometimes they will say, oh, man, when you had so-and-so on, or the episode with your dad where you're talking about the Brooklyn Dodgers, or whatever, whatever. And then I know, like, yeah, they really listen to the show. And then I know when someone's just being sort of, and again, they're being nice. So I'm not, I love them all. I'm like, yeah, does one stand out to you at all? Like, no, they're all great.
Yeah.
Then I know kind of like
they're all great, and they walk away and they go, that Sports Nation Today podcast, and you're like, that's not my show.
So I have a little fun. I don't mean it like it's just sort of my own little personal test to see. Plus, honestly, I do want to know like what episode resonates.
That very much is a John Newman thing, though.
It is.
As soon as he said it, I went back in time. Or it's like, oh yeah, what's your favorite episode? And I'm like, John has had that. Like he talked, like when we're talking about stuff, be like, oh man, I love this player. I love collecting this card. Yeah. Which one's your favorite one? Like which one?
I like to put people on a little bit on the spur of the moment hot seat.
Off camera, he already asked me since I've been out at Syracuse practice. He's like, what do you think about this? Where do you think's going to happen with this guy? And normally, and I won't answer, like literally recently, I did not answer a question the way that somebody probably wanted me to. But then with you and having known you for a while and built a relationship, I talked to you and gave you a little bit more where somebody else asked me about a certain quarterback situation and I didn't really say much. With you, I said a little bit more of what I wanted to say. But John is notorious for coming into this room and you're like, we're putting the chairs together and we're talking about something and he goes, oh yeah, you like that? Which one?
It's funny because when I have people on the show, I'm not a guy that, even what we're doing, it's all kind of a cappella off the cuff, if you will.
Yeah, there's no notebook.
Yeah. Even with my interviews on Sports Card Nation podcast, I don't have like a list of questions. I might have some bullet points of stuff I want to make sure we get to or cover or talk about.
Yeah.
I'm more of a conversationalist. Like my questions come from your response. How many
100%.
times you're listening to an interview and the guest or the interviewee says something and it's such an interesting answer that it's worthy of a follow up, and then the interviewer just goes to the next question,
which makes
somewhere.
it sound choppy.
Yeah, and just scripted.
Yeah.
And again, to each their own. I'm not, saying I'm better or they're worse or they're but like I'm more of a I enjoy those kind of interviews where, and that's the biggest compliment I get with my podcast, Dan, is people will say, I feel like I'm like at a bar top or a dinner table just hearing a conversation between 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool. I enjoy that sort of kind of interview or I don't even call them interviews. It's almost too formal. I call them conversation. When I set them up, I'm like, hey, when can we set up a time for an interview?
Yeah.
But it's really more of a conversation. And even some of the people I've had on the podcast and have interviewed, they've said even after, like when the mics were turned off, like, I've done these before, but like yours I felt more natural and comfortable.
Yeah.
And it was more, I at times I even forgot that we were recording anything. I just thought we were talking.
Or people tell you it felt like 5 minutes when it was an hour.
Yeah.
Because you never want the other, but to your point, I mean, I've always said, I was like, anything I do, Wake Up Call, Superpowered Pop, any of the shows, I'm like, I want you to feel like we're not talking at you or to you, we're talking with you. And I've always said, I want you to watch and listen to the show as if you were sitting on a couch with John and I, with whoever's sitting in this room or whoever's on the air with me. I want people to feel like when I'm sitting with Fran Brown, you're sitting with Fran Brown, not you're watching me sit with Fran Brown. Like I always wanted people to just feel like we're all on a couch, friends, hanging out. So when you said bar top, that makes me think of my approach, which has always been, I want you to feel like you're sitting on the couch.
You do. I've listened to your stuff. You're very similar, if not, like that. I think, to me, those conversations are more interesting than, let's say, a scripted one, or and there's a place for those. You remember? I don't know if James Lipton. He's passed away. Inside the Actors Studio. It'd be like, so tell me when you accepted the role of and then the next he just was going.
And then
down
somebody
question.
would throw him off like Robin Williams,
Yeah.
and it's like, are you going to go to the next question or are you going to lean into it? I would have leaned into it. I would have been like, all right, Robin, let's go.
And that's just a different style. I'm not saying he was great. I mean, that was a great show, but they're just different styles. I tend to listen to more content that's like that, more conversationalist. How many times you listen maybe to a scripted question type show, and sometimes you get frustrated, like, man, he could have followed up with off of that. That was such a great topic.
Or to talk about things people are afraid to.
Yeah.
To talk about faith, like you hear it at the college football playoff, like Will Howard addressed it, Riley Leonard addressed, like so many people that were talking about it, Marcus Freeman. So I felt like I was like I was fine. Like I felt like there's times where I've talked about God and it was normal to people. There was times in the past few years where I talked about God and I felt like I was by myself. And then I go to the college football playoff and I'm seeing these people with massive platforms far greater than mine talking about God, and I was just in awe. And so, I like when people, I always tell people, you turn the mic on, you shut it off, I'm the same guy. I talk the same way. I don't have a radio, like I don't change my voice.
Hey!
But I had someone who did that. We were like literally in the studio and I was guest hosting and he's like, all right, so when we come back, we're gonna talk about golf, and then we're gonna go from golf. We'll go into baseball. Like he just gave me a bunch of topics. Like this is where we're gonna go, and he's like, all right, so we're coming back in 5, 4, 3, and welcome back to the show. And oh my gosh, and we're here, and Dan's here, and wow. And I looked at him and I was like, are you Timon from The Lion King? Like, it was such a weird...
I see me and my humor. I just would have changed my voice too. Like, oh, I'm glad to be back. Too.
I was like, apparently we're doing Disney characters.
I would have just went into my Harry Carey, like, oh my god!
I was like, I should have just leaned into, oh boy, who's my pal? You know, I just jumped right into Mickey. But I was so thrown by it. I will do impressions on the show, and
yeah, well,
obviously
that's
it's
different.
fun.
I've done like like. You know, him and Coco by dad. I was hungry. I didn't eat lunch. His ear looked good. You know, I've done that, but
I love doing Bane.
You're doing an impression. You know what I mean? Like you're not doing that as like a character and you stay in it. You know?
No, like we've done. Ross and I do The Drive, and we've done it for over a decade. And we talk about the NCAA tournament. We make our picks, and we go, round by round as it's going on. And one show. Because Ross will he'll push, he's a brother to me, and he'll push it out of me. He's a broadcaster too and a writer. And I had, I think, 15 impressions that I had done in this one NCAA tournament show of people calling the show. And I realized over the years, and I blame Isaac for this, another brother of mine, Isaac Alford, who does Tortora and Alford with me, he would do Bane on the phone with me, and then I started doing Bane. And I can't. And when people don't know Bane, I was like, I was like, come on, man, get to know Bane, because all he is Sean Connery with a muzzle. He talks a little bit like this, and so but whenever I do Bane, I make him really funny, and he's just got quick wit. I don't know where it came from, but once I become when I do a character, I become that. I'm no longer me. I'm thinking as this person would think. I'm acting how they would act. So I've done a show where for 15 minutes, Bane is doing Wake Up Call. And it's just fun to be different.
I can do my I can only do Sean Connery just ordering one item at Burger King.
Okay, go ahead.
Whopper Jr. That's it. If I had to say any more, I'd be in trouble. But I can Whopper Jr.
That's the one I didn't really... I haven't worked on it as much as I have with other ones like Christopher Walken.
I love Chris. I want to do a Christopher Walken impression. I can do a little bit. Yeah, when I try to do it, I hit spots where I'm good with it, and then I lose it. I can't. Yeah. I'm not consistent. Dan. And when I try to do Christopher Walken,
you just got to walk up to people.
It turns into William Shatner at some point. Dan.
You just got to walk up to people and go, wow,
kittens.
Kittens, wow, I tell you. You just got to go, it's beautiful. You got to go up and then come a little bit down and just miracles, But it's if you talk like that the whole time, it's hard to keep yourself in that. So that's one I have to practice more on. I'm working on a Robert Downey Jr. right now. But there's a bunch. I think the last time that an ex-girlfriend of mine tracked it, I had 47 that I do.
You do more than I do. It's funny when I used to do more when I was younger, and then your voice changes and you realize I can't do that anymore.
I went through this throat stuff that I had. It looked like I had a cut on a vocal cord. I had for months trying to figure out what was going on. My allergies have been insane, and then I had my wisdom teeth all removed, and I had an extra wisdom tooth that was up here, and I feel kind of working through that. For a while after my wisdom teeth, I couldn't do my trump. Now I can, but it was almost like a part of me needed to heal, because I would try to do it, and I'm like, man, it doesn't sound like him. And because I would call people, and I always have to close my eyes and orchestrate, but when I'm him, I'm like but it's come back where it's John, you're a perfect guy, you're a great guy, you're a wonderful person. I'm very, very happy to be sitting here next to John Newman, Sports Card Podcast. I can say it. Whoever wants to say it. He's a guru. He's a big guru. That's what I know. But
just don't call me an expert, Mr. Trump. Mr. President.
I can call you whatever I want to call you. Okay?
Probably could.
But I just love it, because what I would have done to John, having known the story now about the guy getting up a million times, is every time I got up, if he didn't know me, I would get up and I would look right at him and I would go, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. Just like he did to Hillary when she would talk, excuse me, 1 minute, excuse me. So, gotta have fun with it when you're doing it.
Yeah, you gotta have fun.
But I would also say that the topic when it comes back around. The reason why I chose it today is because of the fact that this has come back around for us.
Yep.
You know, the opportunity of you and I to be in the room together.
And I'll say this, Dan, not to cut you off, but I feel like, you know, however many years it's been, it doesn't even, now being here and having this conversation doesn't feel like that. It was like we did it yesterday when we didn't. You know what I mean? So I don't know if you'll feel the same way, but for me, it feels like it's just a continuation of what we used to do.
To me, it's kind of like it's walking back into a memory and then like reminding yourself that like it's happening again. You know, it's kind of like one of those things where you feel like, oh, I had this and you experienced it. And then when you get to like do it again, it's almost like when I really love a show and I love a sitcom and I want them to come back together and then they do. Like that's what it's like, something that was beloved in your life and then you get to be a part of it again. Like Tim Allen's bringing back part of the cast of Home Improvement on Shifting Gears for season 2 on October 1st. And it's like, I could know nothing about Shifting Gears. I've seen a couple episodes, but I like Tim Allen and I love Home Improvement. And so to see that again, yeah, I mean, it's like it fades back. The whole time we've been sitting here and talking, my head keeps saying to me, when's Jordan going to come do it with us?
Yeah.
Like, that's where I'm at right now. So
But,
when are you going to come fight with us, Jordan?
well, he's got to wake up first.
Is he still sleeping in as long as
When I left, he was sleeping. I don't know about at the moment. But
that man knows how to snooze.
Well, listen, he
works his butt off. That's why.
Well, I'll say this:
Hard
I
work,
was
hard
gone
play.
for 5 days. Cher was gone. So he was sort of the man of the house. My mother-in-law lives with me, so he was helping out with her, the dog. So
there's nothing wrong with sleeping.
Yeah, so I give him credit for 4 or 5 days. He was doing more than he would normally do if we were home.
Oh, and Jordan, just so you know, I want to prove something to you, because I know that if you're not watching this live right now, you will watch it back. But I want to prove this to you, and it's very important to me to have this. So when I had interviewed Jordan way back at Section 3 Media Day, I had it, and I was like, I know I have this somewhere, and I could never find where I had saved it on like a flash drive or one of my computers, and I had changed computers and whatnot, so I could never find exactly where it was, and it frustrated me that I couldn't find this piece. And I was like, man, you know, it's got to be somewhere. I got to have it somewhere. There has to be something. I'm realizing now how much I have recorded
I was going to say
on
your
here,
phone like my phone.
which is absolutely ridiculous how much is on here. But to Jordan, I want to let you know that, and here I am sitting here looking for it, and I can't find it while I'm sitting here looking for it. So I have, to this day, when you came into the office that's connected to the studio and you wore your cowboy hat, when you made the decision to go to St. John Fisher. And so that is a video that we can go back and we can watch together, because I had told myself, I was like, I cannot lose this, because I don't think, like, he would talk to me about it and say, do you know where it is? Do you think you know where it is? Whatever. And we would talk about it here and there. I legitimately was looking through old computers, flash drives, all of this stuff, emails, to try and find it, because it was important to him, it was important to me. And so when I have that now, like, to be able to have the other story and the other piece to it, that is something. And if I'm not going to be able to find it on here, I know that I have it saved. But to have that time with him means the world to me, because some of my stuff showed up here, like my grandmother, that wasn't on my old phone, and then when my phone went to this one, my grandmother's stuff showed up that I never deleted, so I'm happy it did. But just so you know, Jordan, the amount of time I took to try and find that interview from a million years ago, I still have the cowboy hat interview, and I'm always going to make sure I keep
See,
that.
if he was here, we would probably debate that you don't. Even if you showed him, he'd be like, no, you just...
because here I am looking through it, and I'm going, I'll show you right now, and he's going to watch this video and go, so you lost 2 interviews. I'm like, no, Jordan, it is with me. And by the way, it's on our YouTube channel, I'm sure. So, I mean, we can always go back and look that up. But I Yeah, I mean, as much as you and I have built a relationship and we built a good one, I feel very thankful that you trusted me and that your wife trusted me to be around Jordan and to spend time with him too, because he became a little brother to me. And, I love that kid. And that's why I was walking in the studio. I was in the studio last night and I just came in and the All American jersey was like facing the door, and I just kind of sat there because you put all this stuff up and then you forget, right? Like you put all these things that are here and you just kind of have them here and you know that they have a reason why you put them there. And then I came in here last night and I smirked and I'm like, I can't wait to show that to John. That like Jordan's
cool.
always been in
And
the
I
studio with
remember
me.
that he got that on. Speaking of, I'm wearing a Chicago jersey from the National. He got that jersey in Chicago is being invited to that banquet and being a Pop Warner All American, and so that's the only one he got. So I think that says volume that he gave that to you and signed it too, as well. So I remember that trip and a younger, more quieter Jordan during that time period, or a shyer Jordan, I should say, than he is today.
Yeah, and he let me be the exclusive place where he announced his return to football and talked about going to St. John Fisher. So that moment I will never forget, and I will never forget the fact that there are plenty of people that say they're going to do something or they're going to come through for you, and not everybody does. A lot of people talk, not a lot of people walk. And Jordan said, "I'm going to get you something." And you'll have it. And he sure enough brought it over here and signed it. I didn't know it was the only one he had. So that's it's priceless to me. And I can't even believe now. I almost feel like, do you want it back, Jordan? Like I love having it, but I didn't know it was
fit.
I didn't know it was his only one.
He won't be wearing it.
Yeah.
That thing won't fit him.
So well, I cherish things like that. And when it all comes around, to me, as much as it sounds like a Johnny Cash song, it also is very poetic that John and I are back here in this studio doing a show together when we spent so much time dedicated to working together and doing things together. And, those videos still pop up on my Facebook as memories.
Yeah.
So
Same. And we, I know we had a trading card made of when we did that
three
as
of us,
well.
yeah.
And that's on my desk at school, and sometimes some of the kids will ask, like, who are those folks? And it's you and Jordan. It's the three of us on the card.
I just found them when I was going through everything because I got a bunch of them.
Yeah,
So.
And so it's fun to look back at those. And again, my podcast doesn't exist if it wasn't for that coming here and doing that show with you. And I'll say that forever, because it's the truth. And so and then we're going to have you on, obviously, and we're going to even go more in depth about that, and then what you do and that sort of thing. So, and cards, of course, that we both do.
You can't see on camera right now, but the cards have slowly but surely overtaken my studio.
Yeah, I will say this.
Overtaken my office as well.
There's more cards now than when the last time I was
here.
here.
They're everywhere. They are everywhere. Now, there's purpose to the ones that are like around here. So there's a bunch of Damon Stoudemire. There's a couple autographs. There's one that GG Cards and Breaks gave me, John. And I can't, like John's out there a lot. Josh and Anthony are incredible. Caitlin Clark is here. My Kobe Bryant that I found. My Breonna Stewart. A bunch of my Arizona Diamondback. My Corbin Carrolls that I got from Murph. And then on this side, we have my Ernie Davis. We have the Floyd Little that I got from Newman. We have my Nolan Ryan that I got from my Uncle Bill. And so there's a bunch of ones here. And then there's like stacks of ones that I have to go through and things that I might trade or sell or keep. My Kyle McCords that I just brought in, those are here. My one of one that I opened at GG Cards and Breaks is here. My Brian Thomas Jr. So my first one of one that I've ever opened in a box ever in my life, box or pack, was a one of one of a Jacksonville Jaguar, which is insane.
That's called serendipity.
Yeah, so
and not bad player.
No, it's his rookie card. It's one of one. You can see it. When I opened it and I saw the back first, And as soon as I saw a Jaguar, and this is how God is, and you talk about God being serendipitous, I have a streak, I believe, that's still going, or it's like everything but one pack or something, of like pack or box. If it was baseball, I would get at least one Diamondback.
Yeah.
And then it's also with the Jaguars. Like I pull Jaguars and Diamondbacks all the time 'cause they're my team. So I saw this on the back, and it was Pete Green, the owner of Mother's Cupboard. It was his box, and he goes, "You open this," because I got one for me, got one for him. He goes, "You open the box, or you open this pack." I opened it. It's Brian Thomas Jr., and I went, "Well, this has to be a rookie." So I'm like, "Okay, it's a rookie." I flipped it over, and I looked at it, and I saw the writing, and I go, "Why is that in cursive?" Because I had never gotten a 101 before. And, when you get 280 out of 499, it's just like it's there, but it's written out. And this one was in cursive, and I go, "Why is that?" And I go, "No way." And it's a 101, and Pete put it aside. He goes, "I don't know how much it's worth. If you want it, it's yours." Like, you pulled it, you're a Jags fan. He put it aside. We went back to GG Cards and Breaks. We sat down. We made a deal. And so this is in the studio right off my shoulder. And I want to thank Pete, because Pete could have gotten a lot of good money for this. And instead we traded, because he was like, it needs to go to its rightful home. So I definitely appreciate that. But you can speak to that, John, that every card has a story.
To me, that's the best part of cards, right? And I don't want this is going to sound weird, right? Cards are just cardboard or chrome, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah.
But it's the stories behind them, like that one you just told with the Brian Thomas. How did you acquire it? How long did it take? Obviously, for me, I have a Jackie Robinson rookie. It took years for me to finally get it, right? It's that journey to the acquisition. It's, who maybe you bought it from. It's if you order it where you're not buying it in person and you're waiting for it to arrive, and just so many different tentacles to how we acquire cards, where they come from, and that sort of thing. The stories behind the cards, right? And I say, the tagline of the podcast is "The hobby is the people," because again, it's a fraternity. We're all in, right? And I know the common thread is the cards we collect. But if it wasn't us doing it, right, there would be no hobby. So without the people, you don't have a hobby. So all those stories, right? It's easy to buy a card, whether it's a quarter. It gets obviously harder if you get into the more expensive stuff. But that stuff kind of speaks for itself. But it's that stories of the acquisition, whether it's a purchase or trading, right? Trading's become a huge thing. We have trade nights now that have, happened in stores like at GG's and even at the National. There's trade nights after the show doors close, and there's trade nights going on across the world at stores, different locations. And so it's not always just purchasing, but even making deals and trades and all those stories, right? And then we meet people in the hobby that become friends, and that story.
It's an easy way to make a friend with a stranger.
Yep, and then that story expands from there. Even with us, like I knew you, and you collected cards, and that has grown, and now you're doing shows and obviously your PC has grown, your show inventory has grown. I'm sure you've met people setting up at shows that you've gotten to know more so. And so all that stuff is just all part of the fabric of the hobby, with cards being the glue that puts it all together. But the people itself, you don't have a hobby if you don't have people who collect. So all those stories are important to how we hobby. And I don't care what hat you wear, whether it be collector, dealer, podcaster, whatever the case may be. All those stories are important.
Yeah, and GG Cards and Breaks, gave me something that I never thought I would have again. And that was what I had how I felt when I walked into George's on North Salina Street in Syracuse when I was a kid. And, to that and to Twilight as well. and they gave that back to me. And having that experience that I have with Josh and with Anthony and with, you know, the whole team, with Alex and Joel and so on and so forth. I mean, there's something to be said about how they do what they do and why they do what they do. And, you know, it is cardboard at the end of the day, and it's cardboard that gave me memories of my grandmother, and she's up in heaven now, and I can go back to those. It's memories of my other grandmother, memories with my mom that we still make to this day. She goes to Gigi's all the time. And there's so much to be said about the people that would not be in my life had it not been for cards. So I can't say enough about these little pieces of cardboard. We will take a step aside here on Wake Up Call. This has been Lead inside of Wake Up Call, brought to you by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Jimmer Sikowski and the amazing team that he has there. You can hear Lead every single Friday here on Wake Up Call exclusively. And the Light Between Us video series will have a new episode coming up as we speak with team members about sharing God, sharing positivity, and being kind to each other in a world that truly needs it. When it all comes back around is what we talked about here today in Lead, and we'll come back around to wrap up the show right after this fast break inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. This is Wake Up Call with myself, Dan Tortora, and John Newman here with me once again. We'll be back after this.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant is different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbeville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they're always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvelange, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. You could find them open for you Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6 and on Sundays from 10 to 5. Make your way over to the place where you can be a big kid no matter what your age is. If you are a kid right now, stay a kid. And if you're not a kid anymore, well, we're always a kid at heart, especially when it comes to going to GG Cards and Breaks for their hockey, soccer, baseball, basketball, football, as well as Disney Lorcana, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon. While supplies last, you never know what you're going to find at GG Cards and Breaks. In their cases, they have graded cards, potential one-of-ones, autographs, RPAs, the Rookie Patch Auto, and of course, you can find some really cool things like entertainer signatures, which I have 2/3 of Boys to Men, thanks to GG Cards and Breaks. So with that being said, head over there today. They just got some new releases in. They posted them on their social media, and you got to get there first if you want them. Over at 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with John Newman and myself, Dan Tortora, this morning, it is time for us inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios to announce our top dog of the week, proudly presented by K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare, the place to bring your dog for daily care away from home. And you can get to them by calling 315-437-7110. And you can get more information by going to K-9kamp.com. I will defer to John first for his top dog of the week.
It's not the guy that kept getting up at Fenway Park. I will.
Wouldn't that be a curveball if he's the annoying moment and the top dog?
No, he's not gonna get that accolade. I'm gonna go with a homer pick here.
Okay.
My team, my favorite Major League Baseball team is the Mets. They've been struggling here and there as of late. And especially in the pitching department. And this was a young prospect in their system who was doing lights out here at Syracuse, gets called up for his first major league start when they had lost three or 4 games in a row. And I'm speaking of Nolan McLean, who came up and pitched had a great quality start. It got his first win, ended a losing streak for the Mets. So I know he's not an everyday player, but that one stands out to me. A little bit of a homer pick, but I'm not here all the time, so I went with the homer pick while I was here.
Well, mine, I'm going to stay with baseball, and I'm going to give a lot of credit to what I would say arguably was my first favorite team. So those of you that know me know that I'm a Diamondbacks fan. I'm very proud to be a Diamondbacks fan. When I was a kid and the Diamondbacks did not exist, I really took to a city not too far away from Syracuse, that city being Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Raptor fan from the jump when they announced the logo in 1994 and came out in 1995. And Damon Stoudemire, to this day, my favorite player. And he came out 95, 96. It was Rookie of the Year in the entire NBA. Well, first baseball game I ever went to professionally, I believe I was 7 years old, 7 or 8. And I went out to what was called the Sky Dome at the time, and I saw Joe Carter take it to the Twins. I believe they won 11-2 in that game. And I have a bunch of Blue Jays stuff growing up. My parents can vouch for me that I really probably was a Blue Jay before I was anything else. So I want to give a shout out to the top dogs of the week who are leading the AL East and leading the American League in general, the Toronto mother freaking Blue Jays, who have come up here and put us in a place where I'm getting more and more excited the closer that we get to the end of the season that they could, and I hope that they do, lead the American League, get the number 1 seed, automatically go through the wild card round, and I can't wait to see what the Blue Jays are going to do. So I'm going to give it to them because they're the unsuspecting to a lot of people, but they've done a good job. They made a move to get a former Cy Young Award winner before the trade deadline, and I just love the fact that the Blue Jays have made this a very interesting and exciting baseball season to expect the unexpected, as they say on Big Brother.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people would have picked them before the season started to be leading the division. I think they got a 5 or 6 game lead, Dan, so it's not like it's super close. I mean, they would, we're getting down the home stretch here. They'd have to have, I don't want to jinx them, but they'd have to have a really bad stretch here to lose this lead. So as long as they keep playing well, they're definitely looking like a playoff team. And yeah, I don't hate the Blue Jays. I'm not a Yankee guy. I'm not a Red Sox. Being a Mets, it's a whole nother league. So and as you know, for many years they were Syracuse was their AAA farm team.
Yeah, 31 or 32 years.
Yeah, so there's that local connection. I mean, it doesn't exist anymore, but it was there so long you don't forget about it. So I'm not rooting against them. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I just love the bird too. When I see a Blue Jay, it's that they're more rare when you see them, and when you do, depending on where you are, and when you do see them, I'm just like in awe. I never remember who I'm talking to on the phone, what's in my hand. None of it matters. If I see a Blue Jay, that's taking the most importance. Under God, I'm watching the Blue Jay. If you're talking to me, just understand that I didn't pass out. I'm just paying attention to something I don't get to see every day.
How about a Cardinal?
Cardinals get me too. Cardinals definitely get me too. When you see them fly by and you see all that red, because Cardinals are supposed to exemplify that, they're supposed to show us that one of our loved ones is visiting.
I was going to mention that. So
yeah. But I actually in my home, when you walk into the house into the conversation room, there is a Blue Jay that's actually sitting on my table, and that is for my grandmother, for G Mama. So shout out to the Blue Jays and shout out to a Mets gentleman coming up here doing his thing, coming from a Met to a Met. Top Dog of the Week, proudly presented by the wonderful team at K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare, led by Lorraine and Chad. Can't thank them enough. And like I said, for daycare for your dog, there's only one place to go, 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse. It is right across the street from BJ's Wholesale Club. You can see them from the highway. Very easy to get to from multiple highways. We look forward to seeing you over there today. And with that being said, right before we wrap up, I know you have a couple cards here.
Yeah, real quick. I know you got to run, but I thought you'd get a kick. I tried to bring stuff that, and this one it came while I was in Boston, but it's a game used jersey card from back 2012, I believe. And it's Michael Jordan, which that's all you need to say. But what's cool is it's a dual game used jersey. And the other guy, I know here in Syracuse, we have a lot of fond memories. Even though he was only here a year, brought a title to Syracuse, their only one. So, Carmelo Anthony and MJ jersey card.
Awesome. That's an awesome looking card. And if you get in close there, you could see that the J, you have like those bigger spots there. And so you could see on Carmelo's jersey that it's not as like Michael Jordan's. It's like that old school where there's like the slits are bigger. Yeah, you can
tell the evolution of the jersey.
Yeah, that's really cool. I never even thought I'd see something like that.
Yeah, it is cool. And frankly, if it was just Jordan, if it was just Jordan, it would probably be actually more expensive. But the fact that Carmelo, it's still a little pricey.
It's priceless now.
Yeah, and then this one. Two guys that are about to be in the Hall of Fame very shortly here. On the same card, this is from 2001. It's the Topps Chrome traded. It's Ichiro and Albert Pujols. This is their dual rookie, and it's the Chrome version. They have the regular base card version. This is the Chrome version of their 2001.
That's cool. Looks like two mini cards put together.
Yeah.
And so it's already encapsulated by PSA. And take a look at that here, folks. Get it in a little bit closer if the camera will pull in here, but
yeah, it's got the sleeve on it, so there's a little glare, but
yeah, that is nice though.
And that was a card I tried to buy in Chicago when I was at the National, but couldn't find a great deal on it, so I came home and just got it.
So you were looking for that card specifically?
Yeah, the Jordan Carmelo I wasn't. I just kind of came across it, and then the last one's what's called a Deca booklet. It's numbered 5 out of 5, and it's got 10 players, all either going to be Hall of Famers or already in the Hall. A couple bat pieces, but many are jersey pieces, 3 colors. Probably the worst player on this, and I'll hand it to you, is Chris Bryant. He might be the only one that isn't a Hall of Famer at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, we got Buster Posey, Mike Piazza. We have Derek Jeter. We got Ozzie Smith, Nolan Ryan, and Clayton Kershaw. And then you have Chris Bryant as well as Ernie Banks, Hank Aaron, and the last one there, Mike Trout. And it's funny because first bat piece I ever got shaved. They shaved like the bat pieces, put them in the card. I didn't even know they did it. And the first one I got is actually also Hank Aaron, and Hank Aaron's in here as well.
And I have it in the acrylic case. If it wasn't in the case, this is actually like it folds up into like a book.
That's crazy. So this is literally like it's one card.
It's one card, yeah.
That's insane. I know you've had cool stuff like this before. This is the biggest card that I have ever seen.
I thought that would kind of be a neat piece to bring.
Yeah, this is really cool. This is really awesome. Thanks for bringing this and letting me keep it. I'm kidding. Put it right there. But and Jordan, by the way, I love you dearly. And you were playing for Bishop Grimes. Young cat out there. And there it is, Jordan. Now you're going to be I'm not a liar. Just what these last few years have meant to you. So Mr. Newman, and I sent it over to him this morning too, so he has it. So that's actually been sent over to him. So shout out to Jordan Newman. So with that being said, from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, and of course, thanks to the Annoying Moment of the Week from Carvel DeWitt, lead from Chick-fil-A Cicero, Top Dog of the Week from K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare. You're with us up and down the East Coast, Midwest, West Coast on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. Once the show goes live, it heads to Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Many thanks to the Brooklyn Pickle down in Southern Pines, North Carolina. And, of course, to our team of partners here in Central and Upstate New York, Great Lakes Honda City, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Chick-fil-A Cicero, as well as Brian's Landing, Pizza Man, K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare, Mother's Cupboard, Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world, Chick-fil-A DeWitt, K-9 Campground Dog Boarding, Avicoli's, and of course we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. Find them every month here on Wake Up Call. Student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni. Go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our BSC Syracuse playlist. The Bobcats are also on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. And of course, Wake Up Call is also the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Binghamton University Bearcats. Find the Bearcats every Tuesday during Bearcat Time at 10 a.m. Eastern Time worldwide, and you'll find student athletes, coaches, and administration. And we will be having a Bearcat takeover. Go to our social media to find out more about what's coming up this Monday for you on Monday, August 25th. We will be doing the entire broadcast from campus at Binghamton University. You can find all of our content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, find the Binghamton playlist. The Bearcats are also on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, John, thanks for coming back.
This was a blast, man. You rattled that off like a champion. I couldn't keep up.
Well, I appreciate that. Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Make sure that you check out the Sports Card Nation podcast with John Newman and all the work that he is doing.
And future guest to be Dan Tortora as well. But no, this was I knew it would be fun, but it was a blast. We'll have to do this every day again.
Yeah, we're gonna have to just get used to seeing Newman again.
I'm just gonna come over you when you're not expecting me.
He'll just come in and be like, "Hey, I was listening to the show. I got something to say about this topic."
You're gonna come home. There's gonna be a tent in your front yard. Like, what is going on?
Hey, you know what? We're just gonna get an RV like some people do. Put it right outside. So with that being said, for John Newman and myself, Dan Tortora, make sure, folks, that you go out there in this world, you do good, and keep your heart open, and always seek to help each other. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe. And as we always say here, God bless, no stress, do your best. From the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, God loves you, you're important, and you matter. To me, to him, and I promise you, to others.